Hi everyone! I hope you're all doing as well as you can right now and are staying as happy and healthy as possible. For the Diversity in Cognition project, my article was What Doesn't Kill You Makes You Stronger, Psychological Trauma and Its Relationship to Enhanced Memory Control. The primary question was whether facing adversity and traumatic experiences breeds the ability to reduce thoughts or intrusions, as they'll be referred to, of unwanted memories. So the researchers were considering whether those intrusions from trauma decrease because of the inherent forgetting humans undergo as time passes, or because of the initial attempts made to suppress those, so that the brain is consequentially better equipped to overcome those types of intrusions in the future. So the way they did this was they took a group of undergraduate students and tried to quantify the number of traumas they had experienced prior to the age of 18 to give everyone the same time frame in which the traumas would have had occurred to more fairly quantify them. And they took half of the high trauma group, half of the low trauma group, and put them in one grouping, and then did the same with the other halves. They then gave each group a variety of words to view for a standard duration of time with some standard recall objectives, and each group was given a various set of cues, and then they had to make associations for the various types of words, which were either neutral or negative, that were given. So the analysis involved to what extent people from each of the two groups, and then the subsets of those groups, had control over the retrieval process, since the recalling involved focusing on particular words of interest and negating those that were deemed to be of lesser value for the sake of the study by the researchers. So there were certain words they were expected to recall, and they looked at the associations with those words to kind of determine if it was easier for certain people to recall the negative words in comparison to the neutral words, for example. They then took a survey to quantify the relative level of trauma. That initial survey was more for a numerical value, so as to best separate them, but the latter survey was to get a better sense of the types of trauma, the implications of those traumas. So the major results, the major conclusions that they came to were that people with more history of trauma are better at suppressing the retrieval of memories that are unwanted. So for the purpose of this study alone, past trauma actually proved to be moderately advantageous for the purpose of only recalling particular memories, because those with traumatic pasts are better at suppressing memories, even if they may at some point become useful for them. So the reason I thought that this research is valuable and think that it's important to consider in terms of social justice and equity issues is because we often equate what people should be capable of doing and don't take into consideration the implications of trauma on learning, processing, memory recollection, and especially in the academic realm, because that relates to us most, I think it's important for educators to be conscious of that and to be conscious of how trauma affects people and how it may not be optically obvious, but interventions and programming can be developed to support rather than further punish people for trauma they've undergone, often for reasons because of identities that they had no control over or because of factors or determinants of health that, again, they have no ability to change. In terms of the connection to course topics, I thought that this was a really good connector to synaptic and systematic consolidation. So synaptic refers to within a few minutes and hours when new memories are consolidated, whereas systematic refers to like neural networkings being reconfigured, and that can take up to decades. And so this brought into question for me whether synaptic consolidation occurs differently from traumatic experiences for anyone, or whether it occurs only differently for those who have endured prolonged trauma. So I was just interested in to what extent that happens, and then therefore what implications that would have in different settings. It also can connect to the amygdala and how structurally the amygdala changes because of different traumatic experiences. And there are various other topics that it connects really well to. And I just thought that this study was really well done. In terms of a follow-up study, I think that the traumas that were quantified for the purposes of grouping were only those that occurred prior to age 18. And so because of that, I think that getting an older sample would allow for more long-term implications of trauma, on memory and memory suppression to be understood, because this was done on undergraduate students for trauma prior to the age of 18, so it was relatively recent, all things considered. And so in terms of long-term implications, that could be a study that's done. Thank you so much.